Danny Acosta for Fight Magazine here with trainer extraordinaire Greg Jackson. 2 wins on the card tonight, Jon Jones and Brian Stann. How you feeling?
Well, you don't get a better night than 2 great finishes. Brian Stann really starting to show his developing skills, countering takedowns, doing great kickboxing, and then finishing with a triangle choke on the bottom. So you can really see Stann becoming a well-rounded mixed martial artist. Jon Jones, what can you say? Every strike he threw landed. He was creative, he was flowing, and he finished the fight in pretty vicious fashion.
You seem to be out there in an Anderson Silva stance to start the fight. Is that something that he's cultivating on his own?
Yeah, you know, what we want to do with Jon is keep him really creative, but work solid foundation basics at the same time. Work his timing, work his rhythm, but also, you know, work just jab cross so that he's got a good balance of both, and then just let him create. It's important for an artist like Jon not to be limited by a certain game plan to do a certain thing, but to just let his timing flow and give him the situations where he can kind of show his creativity.
With that said, was he following the game plan in there?
Follow the game plan to a T, to an absolute T. It was almost freaky how well exactly what we were practicing he did.
We talked to Phil Nurse before the fight. He said that Jon matured a lot in this camp. What did you see in him that really signaled growth?
I think that he's really working on his technique more and more and more. As good as you see him now, he keeps getting better and better and better. So it's one of those things that you haven't seen the best Jon Jones yet. As he steps up and fights, more and more experienced people, you're going to see a more and more devastating Jon Jones.
Is it disappointing that he didn't get pushed by Matyushenko? That seemed to be the sentiment that Vladimir, although he was unheralded, that he was going to be someone who could take Jon Jones to the limit?
Jon's going to be pushed, but here's the great thing about Jon. He already has been pushed early in his career. Before he came to us, you look at the Stephan Bonner fight, Eve Jake O'Brien, a lot of these guys pushed him. He had battles with him. So the great thing about Jon is he's creative, but you already know he can really last. Even when he was throwing Guzmão, our great friend and ally, Andre Guzmão, who's just had Renzo's, and we love Renzo to death. He's our friend. He was even in a war with him. So you know he can push. You know he can go the distance. Now we're just giving him all the technical stuff.
And who would you like to see Jon Jones step in there with next?
Luckily for me, I don't manage anybody, and I just solve the problems when they come to me or try my best to. So whoever the UFC says, that's what we do. How
satisfying was it to see Brian Stann get a submission win as opposed to a knockout?
Listen, Brian Stann is one of my favorite human beings on the planet. He's a war hero, an actual war hero, not a... he's an actual war hero, not like, he's got a silver star. You know what kind of man he is. He is in that dojo 3 times every day, helping his teammates. Let me tell you about Brian Stann. He had a fight. He put his stuff back on to help Jon Jones warm up. That's what kind of team we got.
Greg Jackson, open endorser fighters. What would you like to see next from Brian Stann?
I just want to see him develop more and more and more. He really showed that he's going to be a complete mixed martial artist and that being the WEC champion was no fluke. And he's a great athlete, he's a great guy, and I'm honored to call myself his friend.
Any last word for fans?
I'd like to thank my wife and kids, Stephanie and Jimmy and Sammy, for all their support.
Greg Jackson.